So we're going to turn and talk from this hot war that was going on in Korea to talk about how we started to compete in other ways, a weapons race and a space race. So in this video, we're going to take number 2 and 3 of our outline and discuss how the Cold War intensified in these two areas. So in 1945, the United States let the world know that we were the superior nation when we dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But it wasn't long before we had competition on the world stage in 1949 when the Soviets exploded their own atomic bomb. And later we'll talk about theories about how they even got the technology. Since the United States was the only country who had it, how did they acquire one so soon? So the race is on. The United States is not the only kid on the block with this very powerful weapon. So we in 1952 developed a hydrogen bomb, which some say is about 70 times more powerful than anything that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So in this chart right here, look very closely. These two little puffs of smoke, this is what Hiroshima, the Hiroshima test was. We developed a hydrogen bomb, and we nicknamed them Mike and Bravo, and they were tested out in New Mexico desert and out in the water. No one hurt. But then in 1953, the next year, the Soviets exploded their own bomb, and it was much more powerful than anything we had. So once again, the United States has to up their game. We had an atomic bomb, they got an atomic bomb. We had a thermonuclear bomb, they developed a hydrogen thermonuclear bomb. So we develop a plane, the special B-52, that can carry our nuclear weapons. They didn't have that. But the race to acquire the most stockpiles of weapons, we easily started out in the beginning as being the leading nation, but they would eclipse us and continue to build and build and build and build. So the fear is that with both of these countries having these large stockpiles of weapons, if one country acts, then that basically means the end of the story for both countries. So actually having a large number of nukes is what saved us from this Cold War becoming a hot war, because no country wanted to act. The other country knew, whatever country fired first, the second country was going to come at them with whatever they had. So there's the slogan, massive retaliation. The fear of massive retaliation acted as a deterrent from any country being the first to pull the trigger. No one wanted to see this happen to one of their major cities. So let's talk about other ways that we began to compete with each other. In the area of science, October 4th, 1957, history is completely changed. Man breaches the sky for the first time. The Soviets beat us in the space race. They launched the world's first artificial satellite, nicknamed Sputnik 1. It was only a little bitty thing, 184 pounds, about the size of a basketball, and all it did was beep around the earth and send signals. But you could not tell Americans that this was not, the apocalypse. The Soviets had launched a satellite into space, and who knows what it was going to do. It was going to come into our homes and, take over our television sets. So take a second and try and answer this good review question. Pause that. Here's another good review question about what the launching of Sputnik, how that's going to change things here. So it just seems like we keep getting further behind in this space race, because the Soviets are even going to launch a dog into space. Her name was Laika. They even put the first man into space. The first human into space is Yuri Gagarin. So it's Russia 2, US nothing. Sputnik is going to change America in a lot of ways. We decide that we really need to start funding our math and our science programs. So the United States is going to create NASA because we want to come from behind. We also established what's called the DEW system, the Distant Early Warning System. We put a series of radars here around Antarctica because we want to know, we have this fear that if the Soviets ever launch a nuclear weapon, we want to be able to detect it early. So the Canadians let us, put radars up here. Now, not that the Soviets did ever launch a nuke from Russia to the United States, but still the fear was there. So if you click on this CBS video, it's really good about how showing you firsthand film about how this fear just took over the United States. One thing that Sputnik did encourage us to do, a tiny satellite made us want to prepare ourselves in case we needed to get across the country early, in case we need to mobilize our troops or our tanks or our armies. We built an interstate highway system, or if we needed to evacuate people from our large cities in case the Soviets ever attacked. So President Eisenhower pushed through Congress this interstate system to interconnect our country with a series of interstate highways. And if you look real closely, I-10 is the interstate that matters most to us. You can take it from Florida all the way out to LA. So Sputnik, how did it change America? We really started to emphasize math and science in our schools because our children are our future. They're the ones that are going to have to live in a world where the Soviet Union might be the dominant country. So we wanted our students to be prepared to engage them intellectually. But as a result of all of this new discovery and emphasis on math and science, the government is funneling all types of money there, and as a result of that, Dr. Jonas Salk develops a cure for polio, a vaccine for polio. So that's definitely one benefit of this Cold War era. And we'll pause there before we talk about how this fear of communist influence really impacted us here at home.